all on behalf of the webinar committee team management. Welcome, sir. This time we are organizing Environment and Development Series 1 webinar, and this is our third lecture. Last few months, we were engaged for conducting Biodiversity Series 1. That time from school students, UG and PG students, renowned professors, teachers, and retired persons were the participants. Now, in this series, we are trying to organize lectures mainly on application basis. We primarily gain knowledge from either directly environment or its biotic and abiotic components. Every time human being trying to gather knowledge and apply this for the welfare of humankind. From the very early days, we know agriculture, and basically it's our primitive and prime occupation. With the time itself, we change our cultivation pattern or trying to improve our previous type for more and more production. But now we are facing so many problems for the better yield on agriculture. So need some eco or climate friendly technology. We are eagerly waiting to hear about climate smart agriculture. So, sir, again I welcome you. Our today's resource person, Dr. V. Venkat Ramanan, Assistant Professor, School of Interdisciplinary and Trans-disciplinary Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Sir, we are requesting you kindly start your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute. One minute, ma'am. 1 minute. I'm unable to open this.
Yes, we are waiting, sir.
Yeah. Come. Yeah, it's going to open. Start holding. Camera on. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure meeting you all here. In fact, the credit goes to Dr. Das. In fact, he has invited me. Thanks for the opportunity, sir. And I always also thank Dr. Jana, Dr. Ghosh, Dr. Chowdhury for giving me this opportunity. In fact, it'll be a interactive session so that we'll be also learning. Dr. Ghosh rightly said that how important agriculture is. At the same time, if you look at it, more and more of discussion in the field of agriculture, in the domain of agriculture, can help us to find a kind of location-specific, site-specific management practices, because that is the need of the hour. Because when you see anything can wait, but agriculture cannot wait. That's what the first Prime Minister of our country said. Agriculture cannot wait, and this session, particularly on climate smart agriculture, will be adding a lot of value as far as the discussion point of view is concerned. And secondly, as far as our knowledge, gathering, knowledge capacity building is concerned, this is a very important topic, because the climate smart agriculture, because at this juncture, we need to look for the solution to the problems to agriculture. So in that sense, climate smart agriculture is very, very important thing. I think I am audible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Madam, can you see my presentation also? Can you see my presentation?
Actually, presentation is not visible. Your presentation is
visible now?
No, sir.
1 minute.
Sir, actually you are connected with one device only.
Yeah. Karthik, bring that laptop. The other one. No, Kritika's one. Huh? Bring the other one.
चेक करो कितना चार्ज देखे चार्ज दिखा रहा है कितना चार्ज है वो नहीं दिखा रहा है
One minute. नहीं
ठीक हो गए
Just 1 minute.
होगा
I'm using another device. I just
yes sir take your time
because somewhere this computer I'm using another computer.
participants we are requesting you please everyone wait there are some technical problems and let that be solved so please wait
One minute. Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Madam, is it visible?
It is visible, but your sound is echoing.
Okay. Is it now okay?
Yes, sir, it is now okay.
Just 1 minute, ma'am. I'll just. My photo, everything is right? Oh,
Yes, sir.
okay. Sorry for the inconvenience because I'm using other one laptop. Okay.
Nothing is the so you please start your presentation.
Now is okay, ma'am? Visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. In fact, I started saying the importance of agriculture because now the present agriculture is at crossroads, not only in Indian condition, elsewhere also. For a simple reason that the population is increasing day by day, year after year, it is increasing, and it is going to touch cross 7.2 billion, and by 2050 it will be touching 10 billion. That is first context. The second context is that agriculture as such, it is creating a lot of environmental concerns because it's a cause of concern from climate change perspective and also other environmental related pollution problems. So under these 2 or 3 circumstances, if you look at it, that agriculture need transformation, and looking at the transformation, it should be structurally more reformed. When I say reformed, because it's more need to be environmental friendly. At the same time, it has to safeguard the developing countries also, because in most of the developing countries across the world, if you see, they are dependent on nature, they are dependent on agriculture, because agriculture is a source of livelihood for many of the developing countries. So under that circumstances, what we need to do is that we need to have a strategy. We need to have a strategy so that agriculture is not affected by climate change, and also the kind of pollution, the kind of greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture is minimized. So under that circumstances, what needs to be done? So the answer is climate smart agriculture, because it includes a component of resilience. That is also called. That's why it's also called as climate resilient agriculture. So with this perspective in mind, let us proceed further. So as I told you that the first the cause of concern is as far as the present day environmental conditions or the across the country, not only in the country, elsewhere also. The most important problem is the population pressure. So population pressure, as I said, that it is increasing. When I say it is increasing, not only that thing, not only the population is increasing, the standard of living is increasing. When I say standard of living is increasing, the dietary shift, dietary pattern is changing. Dietary pattern means there is a shift towards protein-rich or fat-rich diet. So there is dietary shift along with the increase in the population, so that can have a direct impact on agricultural resources. When I say direct impact on agricultural resources, what I mean to say is that there will be more of there is need for producing more of food grain production, food production. So when you see, when we got independence in 1950, our food grain production was 50 million tons, and now we are almost touching 300 million tons. But when you look at the 2050 population, the population is increasing. So under that circumstances, what we need to do is that we need to have more of food grain production. So what we need to do is that not only in our country, everywhere, the first most important thing is that we need to increase the food grain production, and at the same time, we need to manage the other demand from the protein-rich diet and the dietary shift patterns also. When I say dietary shift patterns, because there's a agriculture production, you can increase it increasing the land area. It is a straightforward answer, but we cannot increase the land area because the population is increasing. We have a lot of conflict of interest. When I say conflict of interest, there is a demand for the land from other sectors, urbanization and so on, there's transportation industries, and there are a lot of pressure on the agricultural land. So under that circumstances, we cannot increase the agricultural land. For instance, in India, if you see that the net zone area is 141 million hectares, we have not increased net zone area for last 3-4 decades. If you see, we are not increased, and there's a possibility that the net zone area can decrease because of the pressure, the increase in the population, urbanization, industrialization, all other activities. So the net zone area, anyway, it cannot be increased. So that is the key concern, And third important thing is that when you see, though we have increased agriculture production, when you see since industrial revolution and since 1950s in our country, we have increased tremendously. But at the same time, if you look at it, is that malnutrition, the undernutrition, and there's so many concerns. There are hunger. We have to remove hunger. So what I want to say is that the disparity that is existing across the world, if you see, it's a major cause of concern. So that is the third important thing we need to take into account. And rightly, Dr. Ghosh rightly said that agriculture is intensive. When I say agriculture is intensive, the kind of the fertilizers, the kind of input we have provided to agriculture, and that is the reason why, because of this input-intensive agriculture, only we have increased the agriculture production. So that inputs, whatever nitrogenous fertilizers or pesticides, whatever things we have given to agriculture crops, for growing agriculture crops, we are in fact subsidized to the agro-ecosystem. So when we have subsidized the agro-ecosystem, a lot of problems like environmental pollution problems, nitrate pollution, and there are so many pollution problems are there. Series of pollution problems are there. So that is also a resultant product, So modern intensive agriculture also needs transformation. Intensification is agreeable, but at the same time, whatever the resources we are using, we need to improve the efficiency. We need to improve the effectiveness. How best we can improve the efficiency. That is another point of concern. And in fact, the last 2 or 3 sessions, you have discussed about the biodiversity, and by now you would have known that how important the agriculture and agro-biodiversity, from the perspective of changing climate and from the perspective of increasing the agriculture production. See, agriculture biodiversity is very, very important. Not only the crop plants, I'm talking about the diversity that is existing deep inside the soil. The soil biodiversity, the soil microorganisms are equally important. So the soil biodiversity, agro-biodiversity also affected by intensive agriculture, chemical intensive agriculture. So see, when I say intensive agriculture, injudicious use of fertilizers, that is the point I wanted to say. If you use it properly, it is not going to cause any harm. But if you're using it injudiciously, the problems will be multiplied. That's the point I want to stress. So from this particular juncture, what I want to say is that the problems are many, and everything is driven by human population. Okay, and our concern is to find out the solution. Our concern is to find out the solution. So how to transform the agriculture. So that is the point we need to keep it in our mind. So now, what are the challenges? See, agriculture is related with all other sectors. When I say all other sectors, as I said, agriculture is related with your biodiversity, and agriculture is related with your food security, nutrition security, water security, energy security, soil security, and climate change as well. So it is a kind of, it's a lot of interrelations are there. So that's what you can see in the Sustainable Development Goals also, whether it is the SDG 2 or SDG 13, I'm talking about the climate change. So each and every goal is interrelated. Same is the case with agriculture also. So when you focus on agriculture in a productive manner, if you reduce the greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture sector, definitely it can give a lot of co-benefits. Not only because we'll be achieving food security, nutrition security also. At the same time, the more important point as far as, because in the last two sessions we have discussed about the biodiversity, because biodiversity is also key for achieving soils security. So under that circumstances, if you see, there are a lot of challenges that are in front of us, and these challenges, that is food security and all other securities related things, this can be managed if you transform agriculture. When I say transform agriculture, I wanted to say that we need to have a strategy. Okay, that strategy should increase the agriculture production. That strategy should minimize the greenhouse gas emissions, and that strategy should adapt agriculture production system. We are talking about the system, agriculture production system also, to the changing climatic conditions, any kind of abiotic stresses or biotic stresses also. These are the challenges that are in front of us. Now, at the global level, if you see, this is a wonderful thing. This published in the last decade by Rockstrom, and it's published in Nature. So look at this particular boundary. Okay, this is called as planetary boundary. And when you look at this particular diagram, already as far as the biodiversity is concerned, we are into the sixth extinction. We are into the sixth extinction, and kind of pollution. Dr. Bush rightly said that kind of pollution, nitrogen pollution, and so on and so forth. Just rightly mentioned, already we have overshoot. Let's say in the biogeochemical cycle we have started, imbalances, it's occurring in nitrogenous cycle. So that is the second important point. And third important thing, it is again we need to take measures, appropriate measures at the right time. That is the climate change also, because this climate change is going to affect every aspect of our living, not only for human beings and for all other living organisms also. It's going to cause a lot of harm. Potentially, you see, there is a lot of negative impacts are there, and this has to be taken. Definitely we need to take a lot of measures. That is the reason why this planetary boundary concept has come into picture. So when you see climate change, yes, it's a very, very important thing, and that is, in fact, since 2015 we have started talking about climate change through many kind of treaties by Paris Agreement, and in fact we call it as development agenda since 2015, because there are development agenda, whatever we're talking about, whether it is the sustainable development goals or everything, and the main key thing is the climate change, because it is related with the sectors like energy sector, economy of a country is also dependent on how you're using the energies, and when you use a lot of energy sources, that may result in the pollution problems, particularly the greenhouse gas emissions and so on and so forth. So somewhere we are, we wanted to manage the ecosystem, the biosphere, from the changing climate. So from this particular boundary, planetary boundary, the focus is we are taking into account the climate change. Already you would have discussed about the biodiversity. We are taking climate change versus agriculture. So the climate change is definitely a threat to food security, because we need to focus on how best we can increase the agriculture production. That is the most important thing, because when you see, I don't know, you would have known how agriculture has grown, not since 10,000 years, but a lot of developments have taken place since 10,000 years. But since 1950s, if you see, the major growth, the agriculture growth, I said in terms of food grain production in India, we are almost touching 300 million tons. In 1950, it was 50 million tons, 6 times. The 6 times increase in agriculture production. Now, what my point here is that the problem is in front of us. Do we have a solution? That's the question now. So, when you look back, the last 6 decades, if you look back, whatever we have achieved in agriculture field are due to certain reasons. Let me cite one by one, so that you can understand that whether we can bring in those kind of changes in future, whether it's possible or not. Okay, first important thing, we have increased agriculture production by increasing the net zone area, number one. The second thing is that we have provided a lot of resources to the inputs, whether it's a fertilizer, the water and irrigation canal and water resources we have provided. We have tried to increase the irrigated area also. That's the second thing. The third important thing, we have tried to improve. We have tried to,
Sir, sorry, I am interrupting. Participants said that slides are not moving. Actually, they want new slide.
Okay,
Sir.
okay, okay, okay.
And please give it in full slide mode, sir.
It's in full slide only, madam.
No, full slide mode, sir.
Is it full?
No, sir.
1 minute, 1 minute.
Plus, sir, please give it in slide mode.
Is it full? Is it in full slide mode, ma'am? Full. Hello?
Sir, slides are not visible, sir. Now slides are not visible.
Not visible. I'll just try. My computer. My computer. Visible, ma'am? Now?
It is visible.
Full slide, na?
No, full slide is not coming.
Sir, click on slideshow, sir. Sir.
Yeah, slideshow I've opened slideshow.
If slide is not coming, you can continue with that. No problem.
Please click on from beginning so that it will start again. The slideshow you have clicked now. You can just select from beginning. You have the option at the leftmost top.
Right?
From beginning.
You want to say from
You
the
can
beginning?
select that option, yes.
You want me to repeat it?
No, sir. You can take from whichever slide you are starting.
Okay.
The slides did not move actually.
Okay.
So no problem, but you can continue from where you are left.
Yeah, okay.
So you can select that current slide.
Okay.
You can move in the screen and you can select from current slide.
Now, yeah. So I just talked about the problems facing the agriculture sector, and I've just said how important the climate change is from agriculture perspective, because when you see agriculture is also a source of greenhouse gas emission. At the same time, agriculture has to be transform itself to, or in other words, it has to adapt itself to the changing climate. That's the second important point. And a third important point is that we need to increase the agriculture food grain production. That's the basic thing. So these are the three important objectives as far as agriculture sector is concerned. So now, when you see agriculture is impacted by climate change. When you say impacted by climate change, it can be either the direct effect or indirect effect. We know it from basic understanding. I think we have known how the climate change, particularly the increase in temperature, the related issues also, how it's going to affect the crop physiology and the flowering pattern and all, particularly the days to flowering. So everything will be impacted by the increase in surface air temperature. And because of this direct effect, the final result will be decreasing yield. Why? Because the growth duration that is decreased because of increase in temperature. The growing degree, what you call the duration of the crop duration, that is decreasing. And because of that reason, what happened? Yield will decrease. Okay, that is a direct effect. When you talk about the indirect effect, an increase in temperature and the water scarcity problems and all about the drought condition or extreme events, weather events also, it can have an effect on the soil ecosystem and the water resources, because we cannot provide irrigation facilities, because even if it is a drought condition, we cannot provide that kind of facilities also. So these extreme events also can impact the agriculture. And the final result will be what? Definitely there will be decrease in the yield. And the third important aspect as far as the climate change and agriculture is concerned, the social conditions, the socio-economic conditions also. Because when you talk about socio-economic conditions, already I said that the increase in the demand for food grains. And the second important thing is that the kind of the livelihood, the people, because they're more dependent on cereal crops. Understood? Cereal crops or pulse crops. So there is less of diversification in some part of the country, or in other words, if you see the major part of our country, you see all are SF and MF people. SF means small farmers and marginal farmers. 80% of the farmers are small farmers and marginal farmers. And when you say small and marginal farmers, they're more vulnerable to climate change. And because of their vulnerability also, it also can cause a lot of harm to the system, the food system, because when they are vulnerable, they will not be in a position to implement or use the technology. The second important thing, they may not be having the purchasing power to get the inputs. And the third important thing is that because if any kind of shock or any kind of weather aberration is there, definitely it may lead to the lot of loss to the farming activity as such. So when they have definitely they find a lot of this kind of problems, what will happen? They tend to forego the agricultural activity. They tend to leave the agricultural land as a fallow, or they may be switching over to another occupation. So this also can cause a lot of problems with the social ecological systems that is there as far as agriculture is concerned. So what we need to do is that looking at these three important things, the main focus is the adaptations. Adaptation means how best we can adapt the agriculture to the changing climate. That is the basic thing. When I say adaptation, I'm talking about simple adaptations. For example, as I said that because increase in temperature can have an impact on the growth duration. So if we shift, for instance, the date of sowing, the date of transplanting in case of paddy crop, if we shift it or sync with the monsoon, water availability. So that way also the crop will be adapted. And another thing is that if you properly plan it, date of sowing, you're just manipulating it. Definitely the biotic stress component, the pest and disease attack also can be minimized. These are simple things. The adaptation also, when you see, it is crop specific, region specific also. There are many strategies out there as far as adaptation is concerned. It's a big thing. The third, as far as the human interventions are concerned, as I said that climate agriculture is also cause of concern because it's releasing a lot of greenhouse gas emissions also. So mitigation also has to be taken into account. Okay. So now as far as the greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture is concerned, or for that matter, the carbon dioxide, the methane, nitrous oxide are three important greenhouse gases. we need to focus, because more than 80% of the greenhouse gases contribute. I mean, it's a major thing is the carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. And these three important gases are somewhere or other it's related to the agricultural activity also. Basically, the fossil fuel emission, fossil fuel use, and the combustion activities, the land use changes, agricultural activity. So these are all three important causes or reasons why the greenhouse gas emissions is increasing. And now we need to focus on the agriculture. These three important gases, the carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, are released by agricultural activity. Definitely, when you see the carbon dioxide concentration, see it is almost crossed 410 parts per million. And the same is the case with the methane and the nitrous oxide has increased. But when you look at the methane concentration, it has increased basically because of the agricultural activity. The Industrial Revolution, whatever is occurred, if you look at it, it's almost 1800 parts per billion. The main reason is the agricultural activity. Whether it is in a paddy cultivation in our country, if you see the lowland paddy cultivation, or the livestock ruminant emissions. These are the basic two important things that has caused a lot of methane emissions into the atmosphere. The third important thing is obviously the nitrous oxide. Nitrous oxide is because of use of the nitrogenous fertilizers, because when you use nitrogenous fertilizers, because of the microbial mediated nitrification and denitrification process, the nitrous oxide emission is increasing. So the carbon dioxide, the methane, and nitrous oxide. And these three important gases are released because of agricultural activity. There are a lot of scope, mitigation potential is there in agriculture, because when you see more than 49 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent, that is the greenhouse gases per year, per annum, it is released. And within that, 10 to 12 gigatons of carbon dioxide equivalent is released from agriculture sector. So there are a lot of potential is there, mitigation potential is there. So that can be made possible if you have a region-wise strategies and crops-wise strategies also. That's the key thing behind your climate-smart agriculture. Okay. There's a lot of problems in front of us, how to manage it. And we need to focus on the sustainability also. And whatever we are doing, it should be within the limits of the planetary boundaries. And at the same time, we cannot increase the land area. And definitely, we need to have a different strategy. Strategy means whatever we are using it, whether it's an input, we need to increase the efficiency. As far as the crop is concerned, if you see, we are not almost, if you look at it at the global level, only 20 crops are important as far as the crops are concerned. So 20 crops are in front of us. We have only that kind of crops. The genetic base is very, very narrow. Under this circumstances, what we need to do is we need to look for a strategy, and that strategy is climate smart agriculture. Okay, climate smart agriculture. Now we have an answer, climate smart agriculture. Before that, before going for the climate smart agriculture, is there any other way? Is there any other opportunities to increase agriculture production? Okay, because climate smart agriculture is a strategy. Before that, instead of going for the climate smart agriculture, is there any strategy in front of us? Yes, there are certain strategies. First important thing is that efficiency aspect, as I told, whatever the resource you are using it, so in food or the land or the whatever you're using it, you try to increase the efficiency. That's the most important thing. The second important thing is that definitely when you see I don't know, I mean, you'll be understanding there is a difference between an actual yield and potential yield. Whatever we are getting in yield condition, that's called actual yield. But when we release a variety, we give a potential yield also. For example, in Taiwan and China, the yield of rice is 27 tons per hectare, but we are getting around hardly 3 to 4 tons per hectare. There's a huge differences there. Okay, and what I'm trying to say is that this is called as yield gap. There is a huge yield gap between potential yield and actual yield. If we try to minimize the gap between these two, the actual and the potential yield, we can definitely we can increase agriculture production. We try to minimize it. How to minimize it? We have to go for the best management practices. Best management practices, how best, for example, fertilizers. Site-specific management is possible. Need-based, that's basically what I'm trying to say is the need-based application of fertilizers. Based on all your, what you call, the soil testing evaluation, and based on that, based on the needs of the land you'll be applying, based on the needs of the cropland, because cropland also the different stages it requires different kind of requirements. So based on the requirements, crop-based requirements, you'll be going for resource use. I mean, particularly whether it's a fertilizer or a water, we'll be using it. The basic thing is that we'll be trying to increase the efficiency aspect. So that we'll be trying to minimize the yield gap. It's a most important thing. So we are trying our best. Whatever we are trying is that we are trying to minimize the yield gap. That is the most important thing all along. All agriculture scientists will be focusing on is to minimize the yield gap. Okay. Then the next point is that definitely the management aspect, because I said that demand for food grains and demand for the protein-rich diet also, it is increasing day by day. So when I say it is increasing, if you are in a position to manage the demand, well and good. When I say position to manage the demand, because we need to focus on the wastage aspect, because food wastage, 40% or 30 to 40% of food is wasted. I mean, if you're in a position to minimize those wastage also, definitely we can increase the basket, and definitely the food grain production. At the country level, definitely that can be very well used for removing hunger. SDG2. What I'm trying to say is that we need to manage the demand aspect, we need to increase the efficiency, and we try to minimize the yield gap. These are the basic things we need to focus. And now, along with that thing, we'll be focusing on the climate smart agriculture. Okay, when I say climate smart agriculture is one of the strategies. There are many strategies are there. Sustainable intensification is a strategy. There are many strategies are there. We are taking climate smart agriculture for today's discussion. For simple reason is that because the kind of benefit it is providing us, it is in a triple benefits. That's a key thing. So that is the reason why the Food and Agriculture Organization has come forward with this particular concept, and it is elsewhere it is used. Not only in our country, everywhere it is used, particularly in the tropical countries and developing countries, widely accepted. That's what Dr. Das was also asking me, where all this kind of research is happening. So to put it straightforward, in our country also there is a 320 crore project is there, NICRA project. It's called basically NICRA project in Indian Agriculture Research Institute in Delhi, Pusa, where I am a product of Pusa also, and it's basically the resilient agriculture. When I say resilient agriculture, because climate smart agriculture, both are same only. Because the resilience, we are trying to increase the resilience of the agro ecosystem. So, and everywhere, all ICN institutes also, we are working on this aspect, climate smart agriculture. And there are, at the international level, all the international organizations, CGIAR institutes are working on the climate smart agriculture in every field. For example, CIMET is working on maize, and IRI is working on the paddy kind of things. And in every possible ways, we are there trying to increase the efficiency of technology, or they're trying to develop the technology. For example, the climate smart, there are a lot of technologies are there, climate smart agriculture technologies are there, and in Indo-Gangetic grain, the technologies are different. For a simple reason, go for a laser leveling, and that will improve the efficiency of water use, that will improve the efficiency of fertilizer usage, and that will improve the yield also, laser leveling. Because when I say yield, definitely, because ultimately when you go for laser leveling, the kind of the ploughing and the kind of the field preparation operation, that will be minimized. When that is minimized, the greenhouse gas emission due to the field operation, that is reduced. Getting my point? I'm just giving an example of the laser leveling. So what I'm trying to say, every possible ways we can we'll try to minimize the greenhouse gas emissions, and at the same time we will try to increase the efficiency. That's the point I wanted to stress. And across the country, even my own student is working on this climate smart agriculture in the eastern part of our country. When you say eastern part of the country, because that's the major focus for the second green revolution, because whether it's West Bengal or your Orissa, because that particular region we need to focus on that. Because for instance, we have rice, what kind of weather, we cannot go for a lowland paddy cultivation, that is transplanted rice. Instead of that, we can focus on DSR. DSR means direct seeded rice. So when you go for DSR, direct seeded rice, so there is naturally, the greenhouse gas emission is minimized, and that will have an additional benefits also, because when you're increasing the use of resources, the efficiency, that is naturally it will be beneficial. So what I want to say is that these are the strategies in front of us. Now let us go for climate smart agriculture. As I told you, climate smart agriculture is having three important goals. One is to increase the agriculture production. The second is to adapt the agriculture system to the changing climate. The third important thing is the mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions. That will be that should be minimized. That's the basic objective of climate smart agriculture. Well, one important thing. So each and every technology, it's not that every three goals will be met by the technology. Okay? That should be. Some technology will be focusing on minimizing the greenhouse gas emission. Some technology will be focusing on the adaptation. It's a basket of technology. That's what I want to say. From seed to seed, from starting from your field preparation till your harvest, and even the post-harvest also. When we say post-harvest, because the logistics, that's the reason I use the word agriculture production system. It's not only from the field level, later also, because when you look at the chain completely, because this is the way we can manage it more efficiently. The basic aim is to provide the best possible food items or food resources to the people, to remove the hunger. At the same time, we need to reduce the greenhouse gas emission. That's the basic thing. So these are the three important goals with the climate smart agriculture. As I said, that it's a concept developed by FAO long back. In the last decade, it has been developed, and in our country, there are a lot of evidence is there, because it's been already implemented. It's already implemented, and many books. In fact, not only research papers, many books have been published on this particular agriculture, particularly in our country.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, are you moving your slides?
I'm moving, ma'am.
Actually, I think there are some technical problems because nobody is able to see your slides are moving.
Okay.
So, okay, you say no problem. You continue.
So what I will try to do is that I'll provide you my this particular one. This is my work actually, climate smart agriculture technologies, and this particular slide. From this particular slide, you can see that how can we make the system more efficient. When I say, for instance, climate smart soils, and what do you call the capacity building, because we even extension system also can be climate smart. So what I want to say is that look at this particular slide. From the soil aspect, we can increase it by increasing the efficiency of nutrient use, and see since long we are discussing about we know about how to improve the soil system. When I don't know how many of you from agriculture, I don't know. We know it from long back. We were trying to discuss about the soil ecosystem, the kind of fertilizers, kind of the fertilizer management strategies, and there are many things we are using it. So the basic aim is to improve the soil security. The basic aim is to improve the soil physical and biological properties, so that can provide kind of a bedrock. Definitely for the crop production is a bedrock, and definitely because when you say when biological properties are improved, the nitrogen fixing bacteria will be involved, or nitrogen fixing organisms will be involved. So in that way, what happened, we will be trying to increase the efficiency of the agriculture ecosystem. Now my point here is that the technologies, there is a certain group of technologies that will focus on creating an amenable condition so that the soil ecosystem is much more fertile and much more productive. That's important. The same is the case with the irrigation facilities also. We can provide, as I said, laser land leveling, or water harvesting structures, and drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation. Whenever whatever is required, based on the strategies, we can have fine-tune our technologies. And I wanted to say that there's no blanket recommendation. Based on the need, based on the region, based on the requirements, only the technologies will be fine-tuned, and that will be applied. And the most important thing is that when you talk about agriculture system, because the insurance is most important, because we need to provide a lot of crop insurance. Weather-based insurance is very essential, because most of the people, almost 80% are small farmers and marginal farmers. So they should be provided insurance facilities. And not only that thing, because when I say along with that insurance facilities, the most key thing it's coming up is the extension activity also. The climate smart extension activity is coming up. Because whatever the extension, the kind of advisories provided by the extension system in our country, you see, it should be syncing with the weather data. So in that way, what happens, the farmers will be much aware about the changes in the weather, and based on that thing, they can change their, fine-tune their crop production act. So this is how the slide is there. You can see for yourself this particular slide. And and whatever the technology we are talking about is that, as in the last session, we were talking about the biodiversity. So when you talk about the soil biodiversity also, we try to increase the biological diversity. And because of the biological diversity, the agro ecosystem, the stability will be enhanced. And finally, what will happen whenever you increase the stability, and there are the key parameters for the agro ecosystem: productivity, the resilience, the stability. So these all will be improving the resilience of the agro ecosystem. So, and this is a wonderful thing. This particular slide is a wonderful thing, because when you adapt the strategy, when you adapt this kind of sustainable practices in agriculture, whether it is the climate smart agriculture, resilient agriculture, so the basic thing is that not only we are increasing the agriculture production, the kind of the greenhouse gas emissions and the biodiversity loss and the pollution from the agricultural activity, that will be minimized drastically. And that's the key thing as far as the smart agriculture practice is concerned. And slide is about the climate resilient transformation pathways that's there, because there are a lot of stresses that there, whether it's a biotic, abiotic stresses, there are a lot of stresses to the agriculture system. If you go for this kind of strategies, where climate smart agriculture technologies, definitely the resilience will be increased, and at the same time, the risk will be minimized. This is about this thing. So I'll be happy to take up questions now.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge and spend one valuable hour with all of us. I think for some technical problem, we can't see your PPTs, sir. But we hear your all talks.
I think I'll be happy to answer your question. If you have any queries, sir, so in that way I'll be communicating.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there any question?
I've seen some people from even Coimbatore, they are there.
Participants, you can directly communicate with sir now.
Some students from Coimbatore, West Bengal. Good.
Any participant want to ask any question, sir?
Sir, one thing I want to ask. First, I want to say that the presentation was very good. The knowledge you have shared is very good. Second thing is, I request you to share the PPT presentation so that it will be easy for everyone to understand. And one more thing is that, in my opinion, what I think that the main reason of all the problems, whether it is a pollution, whether it is urbanization, whether it is fossil fuels, carbon, everything for food and everything, the main problem is the main reason of all problems or root cause is population. And you have discussed about population very well. Generally, all the whatever presentation I have seen earlier, also nobody discuss or think about population. We all know that there is a limitation for everything. In agriculture also, there is a limitation of production. You can not increase the production triple or 4 or 5 times, because everything has a limitation. If you are going for more production of crops for 4 times, 5 times, then there will be problem of quality, and you will need to add more resources. It means it is not sustainable. So my opinion is that all the problems, there is no problem which has every problem is because of population. So we need to understand the population, and we need to control on that. That's the main reason. For last 10, 20, 30 years, nobody is thinking or working on population. government is also not working on population and all that. We are all trying for climate change. We are discussing about pollution. We are discussing about doing more agriculture production using pesticides, doing cultivation in greenhouses and all that, which increase the carbon footprint on other things.
Yeah, I agree with you, sir. I agree with you. Whatever you said is that the main cause, is population, increase in population, because already 7.2 billion is a huge population, and we need to take the right steps at the right time. Any other queries, please?
No question, sir. No question in chat box exactly.
I'll share this presentation with you, Dr. Madam, is it? You can just see through it. And anything else you wanted to just say to me? A lot of materials are available.
So as there are no questions, so I think after completing this thing, after sir shares his presentation and people give their feedback, we can conclude the session, right?
Okay.
So sir, after or if you have shared your presentation, so we can conclude, right? If that is okay with you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, will you share your presentation with us?
Yes, ma'am. Should I send by email? When I email, I got it with the same email. I'll send it to you. Diva Prasad asked.
Okay, okay.
Should I send it?
Okay.
To his email, I'll send it.
Okay, sir.
Or any other way I can send it to you.
Actually, sir, you send to our mail and we will send that to Telegram and WhatsApp groups.
Okay.
So I think it is better now to conclude the session. And we thank sir again for this brilliant lecture. Actually, this type of topic was not held in our webinar. So it added to other topic in our webinar. And though people could not see your slides moving, but your lecture was very good. There were many new things that we learned. And so after this, we are concluding our session. People, if you have given your feedback, you can leave this meeting room. And sir, if you wish, you can also leave.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Dr. Das, Dr. Ghosh. Thank you very much, Dr. Chaudhary also. Thank you very much for all this opportunity, and it's a pleasure listening to you all, the interaction as well. Thank you very much. I'll send you the presentation.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before concluding our session and before ending this meeting, our next lecture will be held on 24/4/2021 by Dr. Asif Hussain. Dr. Nirmali Gogoi. The topic is use of biochar for soil and environmental health. Dr. Gogoi is assistant professor at Tejpur University, Tejpur, Assam. So don't forget to register for this. You will see everything will be available in our Telegram and WhatsApp groups. If you wish to join that lecture, go there and register for yourself, and other things will be shared to you later.
Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation. Now you can
Thank you.
leave the room. Participant, please give your feedback. It is available in chat box.
Hello sir, myself Jawab Dapper. Myself Jawab Dapper. Sir, nice presentation from your corner. But actually participants are not acquainted with the slide. So we are always asking slides to not become movie not visible. And that's why actually interact. Otherwise presentation is nice, very nice. And your theme is very powerful theme. That I think all my participants or the use of will take. So if you give the PPT or okay, I will share it through WhatsApp and Telegram. But before that, I will permission. Your permission. Okay, sir. We will provide the presentation that is certificate and other to you. Good morning. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good night. বাবু যেটা বলছো সেটা আমি এখান থেকে বের করে দিলেই হয়ে যাবে।